But so moving on, our next presenter, Charles Speno.
Speno.
I'm sorry, Speno. Charles.
Like the bathing suit.
Yes, the Spies. Charles Speno, who entered into the pharmaceutical business in 1996 from teaching special education to emotionally disturbed adolescents in Baltimore City. He currently is working for CSSI, a global patient recruitment organization that delivers the tools and tactics needed for successful enrollment and retention with a reach in over 47 countries. And his 3 fun facts are, he is one of 6 kids from Baltimore. And now this is not confirmed, it's not confirmed, but he was the only student on a special education IEP while attending Johns Hopkins University who graduated in 4 years. And some good upcoming news, he is getting married in August. And we'll be moving into a new home with a blended family of 5 kids. So it sounds like stock up on your sleep now. All right. And so with that, turn it over for hope, humility, heart, happiness, and hustle for the greater good.
Thank you very much for the time. Many of you in the audience that know me, you're going to see a different side of me. Usually I'm making people laugh. This will be a different way. So thanks again. Hope, humility, hustle, and happiness for the greater good. I'm going to end on this quote from George Merck. But up here are a couple images of some folks who have really driven me. One in particular, I think, is Henrietta Lacks on the end that really drove the clinical process. It all starts with a girl named Sophia Rose, which I'll go into detail. She is 7 years old right now, and right there you see has a hemangioma on the front of her face, which caused a lot of folks to stare in the public place. I'm going to begin the story here with my father. This is Ed Speno, had 3 heart attacks, is still with us today, is actually in better shape than myself and my 3 brothers. He also had polio, and I was fortunate to meet Dr. Sabin, who came up with the treatment for polio. And when I told him, tears came to his eyes. My mother, again, she is really my inspiration, dealing with myself and 4 crazy boys, always in the principal's office. And she has COPD and is on oxygen 24/7. And this is a little this is the 70s coming back, asking for my turtleneck back. But right there, I'm in the green. Again, family is really what drives me every day. And then the topic of our discussion today, what gets you going to call the Larrys of the world that don't call you back? What are you going to do? What do you do? What gives you that passion? And you need that type of inspiration to do this. And really, it doesn't define me, but this was in 1980. I was just turned 10 years old, and I broke my femur, had a tumor, and was told that I was never going to walk right again, let alone play sports. Didn't like that news, and basically my inner badass came up pretty bad with that doctor. So I'm really competitive into sports. This is the year 1980. I was born in Boston, Massachusetts. Miracle on Ice. It is a U.S. type of celebration here against all odds. Another one of my inspirations is Sweetness. Many of you know, probably one of the most humble guys out there. Not fast, not the strongest, but was the kind of guy that he didn't run for the sidelines like many, and when he knocked you over, he gave you a hand back up. Probably the most inspirational guy right now that I pattern my life after, no matter what religion I think. This is what we need to do. We need to roll our sleeves up, because at the end of the day, we're here to help patients. And there is no upper and lower class in my book. And I pass that along. That's me in high school. And that's Greg Weber, who passed away about 20 years ago. And he was a friend of mine that I invited to lacrosse practice, and he became our ball boy. Incredibly enough, it was pretty interesting with the wheelchair behind, but he became very close friends and put smiles on his face. Met Buzz Aldridge about a month ago, and he talked about leadership. He talked about Kennedy. He talked about courage. He talked about either we're going to make it to the moon or we're not. We're not going to push timelines. We're either going to make it or not. And that took courage. Another thing that many of you don't know, all through I was a charmer and was passed along and was basically an ADHD, but I also have depression and was hospitalized. So I can tell you that every day I look out, and it's fear that's really driving me, because at the end of the day, I have other folks in my lives that I have to support. I've got to get out of the bed. I've got to get into the light, because every day it's between 1 and 10, and you have to get that inner badass to get out of bed and do what we do. And back to Sophia Rose, she's my daughter. And this is my middle daughter, Chloe, about 2 days after she was born. And as you can see, she's an interesting little character. She's my youngest and has a lot of my qualities as well, a little jokester. This is my son, Charlie, with her. And as you can see, we would go into supermarkets, and the looks, it was incredible. But you learn more from the young, because most of the time it was adults coming up and causing the stares and the questions. She's also a huge fan of Michael Jackson, by the way. She went into a clinical trial, and I can, say today she went through a couple surgeries. That today she stands up, and here she is today with the work from the clinical trial and from the surgery. So again, I'm out here for the patients, and just remember one thing. George Merck said this: it's all about the patients. The profits will follow. Thank you.
Next time you call me, I will answer the phone based on that presentation.